Hey guys, it's Alessio. Hope you're well. So, what a day, or I should say, what a night, because in the last several hours, Bitcoin has managed to break another important support level, and that is the trendline support. And by doing this, it's dropped to the second important target that I had in mind for Bitcoin to reach right about here. So, I'll explain the significance of this important level and the break of the trend line. Plus, also, we'll have another look at the weekly chart of Bitcoin. All right, guys, so we're going to dig into these charts and talk about Bitcoin, especially also in this video from an Elliott Wave perspective as well. All right, guys, join me. Alright guys, welcome back. Now I wasn't planning to make another video so quickly after my previous one yesterday, but after this most recent breakdown of support at the trendline support that you see right there, I thought it'd be a good idea to actually discuss what's happening here on Bitcoin. And by the way, it's not just Bitcoin. Ethereum also just recently broke down below its trendline support that you can see there. And as a matter of fact, came back down to retest the lows it made back in May. We're seeing similar breakdowns of structure also on XRP. Take a look at XRP. I've been warning about this. I've been warning in my previous video that XRP could see a drop down lower. As a matter of fact, as you can see here, XRP also broke down below its support level here as well. Okay, let's go back to the chart of Bitcoin. So a very interesting situation here. And you're probably thinking, by the way, this is very interesting because the last video I made about Bitcoin, when it was here, you may recall that I said, look, even if we see a bounce, the bottom line is we could see another big drop down lower. I said I was expecting these lows to be taken out. So let me just play for you very quickly what I've been saying in the member videos in the last few weeks. So let's have a quick look and we'll come back. So what does this mean? It means that my earlier analysis that I've been saying for the last several weeks, that this was a likely A wave down, and this is a B wave bounce. So bottom line is, just keeping it simple, I think it's quite likely there's A, B, and this would mean a C wave is like the beginning or indeed on its way towards lower levels, towards 54K to 55K. In other words, that is at the moment my higher probability. That to me is the more likely wave count. A wave, B wave, okay, and a C wave taking us down, likely into this region. Okay, the region between 55,000 142 to 54K, 54,644. We have a lot of support right into this region here. So 55 to 54K seems to be the more likely support. Okay, and by the way, that would be the 100% projection of the A wave down too. So in other words, if we were to measure this initial A wave down, project that from the high of the B wave, that would be the 100% projection, about the same level, 54K. So a lot of support levels here coming into play at about 55K. That's the reason why I think we could test this region of 55K to 54K more or less. All right guys, welcome back. Now as you heard in the member videos, I've been talking about the probability, the high likelihood that Bitcoin could come down in a C wave structure, the levels by the way it reached just recently in this region. So I mentioned the first targets, which were the 200 SMA and this trendline support, which we reached yesterday. And now we reached the second targets that I had in the member videos. So you can see this is the weekly chart of Bitcoin. And if you were to measure this entire rally, so if you were to draw a Fibonacci retracement from the lows of September 2023 to the highs we made this year in the spring, the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement would come down to the same level we reached today as I'm making this video, about 55,142, which we're just hugging as I'm making this video right now. And by the way, notice that this drop on this weekly chart is precisely what I said in the member videos, which is essentially A wave, B wave, and a C wave. Okay. In fact, I'll just do it for you so you can actually see it. I'm going to choose again a trend-based fib extension. Again, draw it from the highs of the spring to the lows in May. Project that from the completion of the B wave here. And that would give us a nice C wave symmetrical projection, as you can see here. That would give us this level, this red line that you see Bitcoin drop down to. The 100% projection, the A wave down, and that was the C wave structure to the downside. And that C wave drop, by the way, brought us to this level, as you can see there, 54,638, which is approximately near the 55K level at the 38.2% retracement. So we had double support. For Bitcoin. And by the way, as I'm making this video, you can see that Bitcoin has had a nice bounce from those support levels, from those double support levels. But the question you're probably wondering is, okay, well, what does it mean in the overall big picture? Well, firstly, if you haven't seen yesterday's video about the weekly time frame, make sure you go ahead and see yesterday's video because I explained the next important level, which will be extremely important for Bitcoin. It will be the weekly 21 EMA. Again, I don't want to repeat myself. I've already explained in detail what I mean by that in yesterday's video. But essentially, in a nutshell, what I said in the previous video was we need to see what kind of a bounce we're going to get in the next few weeks. Okay, will the bounce be something like this? Let me just draw it on the chart. ABC, 3-wave, or will it be impulsive, which will be impulsive 5-wave structure like this? Okay, the question is we don't know yet what kind of a bounce we're going to get. Now let's go to this Elliott Wave model. And the reason why this matters is this, because I think the question you're probably wondering is, okay, if we're forming some kind of an ABC structure, which is, as you can see from this screenshot from some weeks ago, the big question is, all right, is this an ABC structure, which could eventually go back to all-time highs, or is this an ABC structure that could form a top? And that's why I'm going to take a look at this particular Elliott Wave model briefly. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but essentially it comes down to this. What we don't know yet at this particular time is whether we just filled out an ABC structure as part of a wave 4 correction. In other words, it's possible that Bitcoin filled out a wave 4 ABC correction. In other words, wave 3 completed here at the spring highs, all right? And then we put in some kind of an ABC correction, as you can see here, as part of a wave 4. And that would mean what? That would mean that we still have another big rally coming, as you can see here, a big rally taking us towards new all-time highs and again towards the 100K level. That's the first question, okay? And the other possibility, the more scary possibility, is that, well, what if Bitcoin has topped in the wave 5 here, and we're filling out what appears to be the A wave, B wave, and C wave of the initial first A wave, the larger degree A wave, of a bigger A wave. Okay, I know it sounds confusing. Some of you are probably scratching your heads and thinking, what was that? What the heck does that even mean? All right, but again, it's not very confusing. Remember, guys, that Elliott waves, just like the markets, are fractal patterns. Okay, so in other words, waves within waves within waves, just like the Russian dolls. Dolls within dolls within dolls. Again, if you haven't seen my video about fractals and Elliott wave theory, make sure you go ahead and see that. But essentially what I'm saying is this. If Bitcoin has topped, that means we could be setting up for a big, major decline as part of a larger degree bear market that would be this big A wave down. Now, I'm not saying this is certain this is going to happen. All I'm saying is it's one possibility we have to consider, that if Bitcoin has topped in its wave 5, then we could potentially be beginning a long-term bear market, especially the stock market also rolls over into a bear market. And that would mean that Bitcoin is forming at the moment simply the ABC structure. In other words, guys, the chart pattern, the ABC structure on Bitcoin, this weekly chart that you're seeing here, this could potentially be as part of an ABC structure, as we can see here, okay, ABC structure of a potential, as we can see here, the first A wave down. And as we know, A waves themselves are usually composed of corrective ABC structures, A wave, B wave, C wave, of a larger A wave, as you can see here, a larger A wave, which would then be followed by a B wave bounce. As you can see, after that initial A wave down, then comes a B wave bounce. And if the next bounce is corrective, in other words, in 3 waves, that would increase the likelihood for a B wave bounce, and that would mean a large C wave decline and drop or crash for a larger degree A wave. So that's why the structure of the next bounce on Bitcoin is going to be very important. So I think it's quite likely that Bitcoin is going to bounce sometime in the next week or so, okay, especially after reaching the 38.2% retracement. And I just explained, we've come to double support. Nevertheless, I think a big bounce is coming in the price of Bitcoin in the next week or so, the next several weeks. And the question is, what kind of a bounce are we going to get? Okay, so is the bounce going to be impulsive? If it's impulsive, that would be a good sign. Because if it's a 5-wave structure, okay, if it's a 5-wave bounce, that would mean Bitcoin is here at the beginning of a wave 1 of a 5-wave rally towards new all-time highs and towards 100K. Okay, so the first possible scenario is that if Bitcoin makes a 5-wave impulsive bounce, that would mean we've completed the ABC structure here as part of a wave 4, A, B, C, and that would mean if the next bounce happens to be impulsive 5-wave structure, that could mean that we're starting the next major rally towards new all-time highs for that wave 5. However, as you probably guessed, if the next bounce happens to be corrective, if the next bounce is corrective in 3 waves like this, A, B, C, then no, forget it. A 3-wave corrective bounce would mean that it's just a B wave before we drop again in a major decline, a C wave drop to new lows, much lower lows. The fact is, guys, I don't know at this precise moment which particular path Bitcoin is going to choose. However, I will discuss this in more detail in the member videos. So make sure you watch the member videos for more detailed analysis in the Elliott Wave structure of Bitcoin. All right, guys, hope this video helps. If it has, give it a like and please subscribe for future video updates. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic week. Bye for now.